I didn't do Hello, everyone. I'm Gianna Mazzelli. It's Money Monday. I'm the founder of Legal Fokker University, and I make a promise. I show Americans how to keep all their hard-earned money simply by audaciously exercising their rights. I'm with Patricia the Silver Stacker.
Hi,
How are
everybody.
you?
Good. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
So beyond fantastic. I'm obviously not home in secret location. I'm not in a secret location. Well, not where I have been. I was
Uh,
Thursday, I was at Patrick Bet David's Meet Joe Black, fabulous Hamptons house. That was a totally mind-blowing party. That was absolutely amazing. And then Friday, well, it stayed in the city at the Trump International. So I'm clearly by the curtains here. I'm not at the Trump International anymore. But that was awesome. We went
uh,
a Yankee game with Patrick. We had lunch at Yankee Stadium. About 50 of us. We're called the Insiders. And then we went to a Yankee game. And I want to tell a fantastic story about what happened at that game. So there have been people telling me for like 2 years. I'm in the Hamptons. That's why I'm in a hat. And I've got ugly wallpaper because I just grabbed the closest hotel to my friend's house who's coming back in town on Thursday. So I'm here until she gets in town Thursday. So for 2 years, people have been telling me, you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. I don't know anything about this guy, just that he was very big in the Trump tax reform. That's all I know.
mhm.
Why would I need to meet this guy? Because I'm all Gianna anti-tax. So we're in the clubhouse at Yankee Stadium, and my branding guy Sean is like, Gianna, you got to meet Ollie. Ollie sells private jets. I'm like, okay. And Ollie's this really great guy, and Ollie has this amazing story, which I'm not obviously going to tell right now. But he is this really regular guy, and he figured out how kind of regular people can buy jets. I'm like, okay. So then I go meet Ollie and I'm like, Sean, are we getting one together? Are you getting your own? And he's like, oh, my wife isn't on board yet. And then I'm like, very glad I'm not married because if I want to buy a jet, I can buy a jet. But then Ollie calls me over to talk to him. And he's like, what do you do, Gianna? And so I tell him about our university and our show and everything and how anti-tax we are. He goes, oh, you've got to meet Julio. And I'm like, Julio who? Because you got to meet Julio Gonzalez. So I'm like, oh my God, people have been telling me for years I got to meet Julio Gonzalez. And I go, where is he? He goes, he's sitting right across from Ali at the next lunch table. I said, walk me over to your table. So now I go up to Julio, who I've never met before. And this meeting is mostly men. There's like maybe 5 or 6 women in the whole thing. And I said, Julio, people have been, I'm Gianna Mazzelli. I'm totally against the IRS. And people have been telling me for 2 years, I have to meet you. And he says, hello. And he's really great, great energy, super excited to meet me. And I'm like, what is it that you do? Because I didn't really exactly know. I know he was on the policy team, but he might
Mhm.
job or a business of some sort. Well, he owns the largest tax firm in the whole United States. I think he's a billionaire. I'm not sure, but I think he is. And I said, well, why would you tell people to get rid of the IRS? Why would you say get rid of the IRS if you have the largest tax firm across the United States? And he goes, why not? Okay. And so we hit it off right away. We have exchanged numbers and we have been texting. And then I've been watching his clips and seeing what his policies are. And we're very aligned because he stood up in the mastermind and talked about tax democracy and tax equality, and basically being that he's saying how businesses, small businesses, and the entrepreneur, the Main Street entrepreneur doesn't have access to tax cuts and tax advantages like bigger corporations do,
Mhm.
obviously. And so he's not a tax firm like where he does your audit or helps you, like H&R Block. They very specifically help certain industries find tax cuts
Mhm.
and tax rebates and things like that. So he does as much as he can, making someone tax free. And I'm like, well, if they would just tell the truth that it only applies to corporations. So I think he's like this close to maybe being on board.
We'll
So
convince him.
I am preparing some reports
Right.
because a lot of people think I and we are wacky, and we're not. Yesterday, I posted, I've been helping this couple for like 3 or 4 months now. And too long of a story to tell now, but they had a tax lien put on their house. And through research of their tax transcripts and their master file, which nobody ever talks about, except yours truly here, it came to see that 50% of the money that the IRS is claiming for this tax lien on their house, which they had a hardship, and it goes into some very legal fuckery details of Obamacare, blah, blah, blah. When the story is over, I'll come tell it in totality. But the IRS has released this as a collection. It has run the clock and it's done. And the rest of it will be done in November. And this means that the IRS has withheld this information from this lovely senior citizen couple in hardship times and was trying to scare them. And this is unlawful lien. And so we just have a few months to go and it'll be complete. So what we do being IRS free is so much more than like tax anarchists or protesters. When I say I will tell you how to keep all your hard-earned money by exercising your rights, I mean that 100%. And so, did you see that when I posted that, Patty, last night? Can you hear me?
Yes. I
No.
did not. I
Okay,
did not see it. Yeah.
So, Patty, what's going on with that U.S. Mint situation? Did you listen to someone's podcast today and got some info?
I did. I listened to 107. I'm sure there's viewers on here that know who he is. I've been probably paying attention to him for probably well over 10 years. It looked like that he was at a conference of some sort. Didn't seem like there was many people there, but he was just talking because he just likes to talk.
On stage?
No, wasn't on stage. He was just sitting in a chair.
Yeah, sometimes he's in the green room.
Yes, yeah.
That's where I first met him at a conference.
Yeah,
but he have his phone number.
But he, someone asked him a question about silver and gold. And, first he kind of makes a joke about it and he starts talking about his horse named Silver. And the next thing you know, he said he's going to get another horse and he's going to name that Gold. Then he just kind of jokes around. And then, he starts talking about the US Mint. And he had mentioned that, the gold price, which was $19,600.
1 ounce
of gold.
On the U.S. Mint, in case you're not up to date on the Patty and Gianna show.
Yeah, 1 ounce of gold, and they had a half an ounce of silver for $750. And he did state that that's where we were going, that those were going to be revalued. Gold was going to be revalued 19,600. Silver was going to be, well, if he's saying 750 for half an ounce, then that's upward to 1,500. Yeah.
Let's pause for a moment, Patty. The purpose of this show is that we are regular gals. Patty drives a bus and she's about to retire because I'm not
school bus.
I like her for the show. Yeah, school bus.
School bus.
Yep. Bus. I am a regular gal. Okay, we're regular gals who have wealth. Okay, we're gonna have super wealth at these numbers, but we have acquired wealth. Patty's was more of a slow roll and mine was in the last 5 years because of investing in metals. When I tell you, I teach you how to keep all your hard-earned money that is tax-free and you can invest it in metals and there's not going to be any capital gains because I'm going to teach you about the legal fuckery. And I know I'm talking really fast because I coffee today, but what we do and why we do this show doesn't matter how many people are on now. We're going to do it we do it 3 times a week. And this is what we're going to talk about. So last week I launched the Freedom Funds for Babies. I launched a campaign to compete with the Trump funds, which go on the index fund. So let me check in and see what the value of this. We're 1 week in. We're going to do this every Monday, just real quick. So where we are right now, the baseline started at $6,000. Today, it is at, for the silver investment, $57.15, and for the index, $58.95. So while the index is just a wee bit higher, it's only the first week. We're going to watch this for 52 weeks. So both sides are down out of the gate, and silver took a little harder hit this week, which Patty's going to talk about later. It has to do with climbing the oil problem, the oil situation in the silver.
The prices of oil. At least that's what they blame it on.
Right. Now they got to say something.
Yeah, it's the headlines that really drive prices in every aspect of the economy. It's the headlines. It
The
kind of
headline,
sparks
yeah.
something and then, it just kind of takes off from there. And then when they start talking, well, this is the reason why.
Now, I will tell you that my intention was to give $1,000 starter money to 10 babies. There's still $10,000 to be given away because the babies must qualify the same way as the Trump babies. And you have to be in the university because I have to get you tax free. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's still open and it's going to be open until the end of the Trump baby accounts, which means 2028. As long as there's $10,000 available, there's 10 openings. So if you want to participate in this, become a member of Legal Fakir University. And that's how you get started.
Yep. You take that tax money that you're going to save and you invest it in silver.
Right, right. Well, I'm going to start
Yeah.
you on the 1,000 and you have to do the 5,000, which be 6,000 is the kickoff for the year. And that's the money that we're using because that's the limit. Now, I really could go balls to the wall because as a silver investor, you have no limit. The negativity about the Trump accounts is that it maxes out at 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
You can never touch it. I can always spend my silver if I need to,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always going to be tax free. So joining any IRS structures is just you rearranging the furniture in your IRS jail cell. So that was taken care of today. Let me look at my notes. We got that's my first story, right? Yeah, that's my first story of the day.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When story number 2 of the show brings me to where your money leaks out. Because a lot of regular people, which we hope we are attracting and speaking to, has drains. And the number one drain is inflation. And inflation sort of just exists around you. And unless you're paying attention at the grocery
Mm-hmm.
store, you may really not notice it. I don't buy a lot of stuff, so I'm not buying clothes or things like that. And so the June inflation report came in at 3.5%. And I know this is probably very boring, but this is stuff people need to know. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason we're in so much financial fuckery is because people do not pay attention. So I'm hoping if you like us and you want to watch us, you'll listen to us. And so the report came in at 3.5%, and the financial press said, woo, this is so great. Oh, no, it's not so great. They'll call it good news because the good news is that your dollar only lost 3.5 cents of purchasing power this year. So that is a tax that nobody voted for. Nobody signed it into law. It just quietly takes it out of every dollar bill that you save. And you cannot keep all of your money, which is our promise, if the
Mm-hmm.
money itself is shrinking. And that's why the first move is always holding something the printing press cannot touch. Patty, hold up your big, beautiful silver
Oh, yeah.
Costco. How much did you buy that for?
I think I paid like $629 for this.
And how
It's
much?
10
It's
ounces.
10 ounces, right?
It's
Oh,
10 ounces.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's 250 the celebration, because when I
Getting
went
that
in
around
that
your chain like Flavor
yeah,
Flav.
oh yeah, look at that.
Drill a hole in it, right? Put it on a chain.
Because the day that I went in there, I bought 4, and then when I went back in the
Sweet.
back, I said to the guy, I'm like, "How many you got left?" He goes, "I only got 2 left." I'm like, "I'll take those 2." So I walked out with 6. Yeah. Mm.
I wish I did too. And so, back to the scoreboard, silver had a rough week and thousands of people sold at the bottom because, like Patty said, the headlines are scaring them. And I like to
Yep.
say this, you're reading headlines on the can, you're
Yeah.
not reading the
Well,
details. Because everybody's
what
saying,
about,
"Oh, in the bathroom, boom, 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 boom."
what about my friend that I was telling you about last week? The
Go ahead,
one,
tell the story.
that she went and sold silver at, I think it was $72 an ounce. I looked at her, I'm like, "Why did you do that?" She says, "Well, it was on TV, silver was high, we just had this silver laying around." And I'm like,
Laying
"So."
around.
Yeah, well, that's what she said. She said they gathered it. She said that they made $10,000 off of it. And I said, "Well, you got caught in that trap." She says, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, they wanted you to sell it and you did." And she goes, "Well, I never thought about it like that." She goes, "Well, my husband's going to take it and invest it in the stock market." I said, "Why?" She goes, "Well, because that's where he'll make money." I said,
Oh.
she goes, "Well, what's your argument with that?" I said, "Well, my argument would be it's lost 90, the dollar got $100 bill here, right here. It's lost 96% of its value. So why would you sell something, an asset like that and do that?" She goes, well, I don't know now." So, so
Well, at least she was honest. At least she was
Yes, yeah,
honest. You know?
yeah.
Which brings me to my other story, and then Patty's going to tell some things about going on in the markets like that. Things that we want regular people to know. I hope
Mm,
we're delivering this like regular people because
yeah.
mostly you get like you listen to other fancier shows. You know, you get people that want you to reach out to I can't Birch Gold and all these people and blah blah blah. You know, and my story is when I first called them to get silver and gold. They were idiots who answered the 800. I'm not one
Mhm,
idiots my money. If you want to buy silver and gold through us, through Patty, through the membership, through the Legal Factory University,
mhm.
Patty will personally call you and hold your hand through it. And then once you get comfortable, you can do it on your own. But so it's paper. So the 401k is exposed to debt, derivatives, inflation, and decisions made by people you have never met. You are meeting me and Patty. You will
Yep.
meet a silver person. Now, silver's taking a dip right now. Patty's going to explain as soon as I'm done talking here what's going on with that.
Mhm.
It's all fake. And so this week it was the chip stocks. And next month it might be something else, you know, money you traded hours of your life for, sitting in a system that strangers control the exit, like this lady. And we're going to put it in the stock market. I only bought stocks once when somebody gave me a tip on an IPO. And as soon as it ran down 10%, I skated out. And it's still shit today. I will still check it because this person was an idiot. And so, yes, he is, you know, I took advice
Right.
from my ex-boyfriend.
Uh,
Rolling into gold and silver, your IRA, it's not a trade, it's repossession, and you're taking back what was always yours. So if you are a person that has a 401k or an IRA sitting in a former job, or if you're in your present job and you are over
mhm.
59 and a half, you can move it. If you're not, it has to stay, but you need to check what it's in. You know, I met this guy at the Yankee game. I'm sitting next to this guy at the Yankee game. And in this circle of people, people are very open about their net worth and how much income their business has generated. I was the poorest person at the whole job. I'm not poor, but I was the poorest person there. And so this guy has $14 million like in his whole life, you know, which I'm like, where's your money at? And so some silver and gold, but he some stocks and some EFTs, but the things they really can't tell you, and they trust these people like your guy at Morgan Stanley. When you pulled your money
Mhm.
out, you're making a mistake. Yeah, I'm pulling your commissions out. And you said
Mhm.
it's not a mistake to make, which you can read about in Patty's book called God's Gold
Mhm.
or God's Money, right? God's Money.
Yeah, God's
And
money.
so, you know, right now the gold to silver ratio is at 70 to 1, and that's near the top of its 50-year range. And that means silver is historically cheap compared to gold. But Patty's going to tell us where it's teetering. So, keeping your money also means not overpaying for the thing that protects it. And right now, silver is the cheap door into the vault.
So
Patty,
true.
what is your first story about silver's physical demand?
Oh, well, my first story is here, yeah, silver's physical demand. Um, this is not future papers or EFT claims. This is physical silver being spoken for before or even refined or shipped. The miners explicitly state that they cannot keep up with the pace of the real world demand. So why does this matter? You have physical silver, physical, right here, paper, fake,
Now, if
right?
people get silver on paper, walk me through that a little bit because a lot of people are doing that. We have those questions all the time in the university. How do they get it? What does it
W-
actually mean?
which is a EFT. It's
Okay,
just
tell us about that.
a digit. It's a digit on a screen, really.
But
And
okay, say
sometimes, so
I'm
so if you were to call a broker, mainly
like Morgan
mainly a
Stanley.
like Morgan Stanley,
Okay.
would they probably sell EFTs, silver paper? Probably. They probably would, which is basically kind of a promise. So let's say you buy $1,000 worth and you pay $50. Next thing you know, it jumps up. You call them. I want my silver. I want the actual silver. But the problem is they don't have that, and I'm going to get into that and why they don't have it. So for every ounce of silver, they've accumulated probably 300 paper products. Every 1 ounce, well, this is a 10 ounce. For every 1 ounce of silver, there's 300 EFTs.
Wow.
Okay. That's a pretty big deal. That is a pretty big deal. You
Daisy.
know,
Daisy's at the university. Yep, she knows.
okay, yeah,
She is
you
a
know.
stacker. We know her. She's a stacker.
All
She's a
right,
stacker. Right.
yes.
So, and when you're buying it, is it just like on an app, like a bank account? Like, do you get a certificate,
Probably.
or you
Like
buy
I
your
can probably go on to
just
I
like
don't
the
know.
Trump baby accounts? It's in an app. Oh, look what
Yes.
Bobby and Susie have, but I can't touch it. And Bobby and
That's all
Susie are
right.
taking that money at age 18, and it's going to go on top of your income. And so it's going to bump
Mhm.
up your tax bracket if you're still so uncourageous as to remain in the IRS after us. All right.
Regardless, it's still going to be taxed. It's either going to be taxed at a higher rate if he's living at home
Right.
because the parents are still claiming him,
That's
or
the
it's going to be
rules.
taxed.
Those are
Yes.
the rules.
Yes. So
The
depending on
rules.
what
We don't
rule,
have any rules.
yeah, no, nope, there's
I
no
hate the
rules
rules
here.
so much.
So let's talk about on why physical versus paper. The physical market has operated in a structural deficit for the sixth consecutive year. Mine supplies continue to fall short combined with industrial investment and jewelry demand. Above ground stocks have been drawn down significantly as this result. So what else is pushing that too? So you got solar, electronics, electric vehicles, and here's the big one, AI infrastructure.
The infrastructure, yeah.
Yeah, so those applications are difficult and relatively insensitive to short-term pricing swings. So like I know that Samsung, they make electric batteries. I think that they bought a mining company. They bought a silver mining
They did.
company.
Of course
So,
they did.
yeah, Samsung because they know
It's
they're
the
not going to.
future.
Yes, it is the future.
Future.
So as the physical tightness at the main gate, ounces are pre-sold to end user not entering the general marketing pool, which is the COMEX and the LBMA futures represent leverage, which are those paper paper products there,
Paper
claim are
promise.
relatively small. Yeah, paper promises. Which is relatively small physical base. When physical is absorbed directly by strong hands, right here, we got strong hands here, right? The leverage becomes more visible. And I think that that's what's happening now. So a dollar in the bank is a promise, but a coin in your hand is a fact. If you don't hold it, you don't
Yeah.
own it, right?
Yep. And what else? Your other stories about the bubble war, the AI bubble,
Oh, the AI bubble, which is let
going
me
to
go
be the
back here.
index. Why we choose
Uh
silver over the index? Because that's all over X today. Go ahead and summarize that story for people.
no, let me try to summarize this. There's a lot here to summarize. Let's see. So the four key signals here really, the money is really going in circles. Major players like Nvidia has invested billions in AI startup. Okay, so what's that about? Now all of a sudden one sector is swallowing the debt market. Big tech companies are borrowing records amounts of funds to fund the AI structure and the build out. The forecast definitely points to hundreds of billions. Some estimated exceeds $500 billion. So what's going to happen here? Major banks, including JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, are actively working to offload or distribute portions of their large AI and data center related loans through
Right.
private sales and risk transfer structures.
And
Well,
watched last week, these
mm,
index funds, they made a law that those index funds have to invest in these things like SpaceX, which has gone down. And these
that
kind
one's
of,
next.
when we're
Hmm.
saying you have no choice, when you're in the Trump baby fund and the index funds, you don't know where they're, and you're going to be that guy sitting next to me at the
Hmm.
gate who thinks, what he said? He goes, well, if I lose my money, everybody's going down. He's in the position like, hello, who went through 2008, which they say is coming up again, which I know we are positioned very well for. I mean, I certainly don't want to wish harm on anybody, but
Right.
he is going to be very scathed. very scathed, and we are going to be unscathed, you know.
That's correct. Yeah. Look, and you were talking about SpaceX.
Mhm.
SpaceX completed a large $25 billion bond insurance in June of 2026, which is high valuation event. Yeah, that's
I
gonna fall
didn't
like
see
a
anyone talking about that. Elon is no, I like Elon. I'm all pro Elon.
mm,
Elon is no longer a trillionaire, and you didn't see it anywhere. He
oh
was,
no.
and then he went. No, he's no longer a trillionaire. I mean, he should have.
No,
Still the richest guy.
no one's
What he
talking
lost
about
in that,
that.
what he lost, and that was just what, a month ago, maybe. What he
Mm.
lost is the equivalent to everything Warren Buffett is worth. That's how much Elon lost in that.
Oh, I
So, you know,
remember reading that. Yes.
equivalent to that.
Ooh.
And what's China doing?
Well, China has decided to let's see here. You know,
I feel like Howard Stern, and you're my Robin. Okay.
So what exactly is happening? In June of 2026, major Chinese banks announced that they would cease providing intermediary service for individuals precious metal trading on the Shanghai. And that settlement is supposed to start July of 2020, July 24th. So what, that's in 2 weeks. So what is that? So what is that detailed? So you got the commercial banks there, the Commercial Bank of China, one of the world's largest bank by assets, led the announcement. Other banks in China, the Pingyang Bank, China Construction Bank follows similar, which means physical gold purchases, bars, coins, and jewelry are accumulated plans remain available. Institutional future trading channels are unaffected. So I just think this um, paper gold versus physical gold. I think this is really going to have impact on the markets here in the United States. So
And
we got to pay attention to that come
we're for the
June.
regular people, okay? We're for regular
Mm-hmm.
people. And I feel like the people like that person sitting next to me at Yankee Stadium, there's people that just trust these advisor people, and they're just not really giving a lot of thought to it. I don't know why I have this curiosity, this suspicion, this, like, I called Birch Gold. I don't know if it was Birch Gold, but I'm just saying, you see these commercials on all the conservative, Steve Bannon and Wayne Root, and you call them and you call this 800 number and you talk to shitheads, and it's like, no, I'm not giving you my money. Like, it's inconceivable how stupid they were. And my first purchase was, it's my first purchase. So you're really nervous about it. And, with our merchant and going through Patty, clearly you guys understand Patty is she's psycho about this in a good
Mm-hmm.
way, in a very good way. So, we just can't repeat enough how you have to just be in charge of yourself. And that's what being in the Legal Falconry University does. It's a community, and you're going to get courage. Like, everybody's afraid. Okay. Everyone's afraid. It's very funny. So I
Mm-hmm.
was at the Yankee game and people ask what I do. And I don't, very law of attraction. I say, hello, I'd like to meet you and teach you how to exit the IRS. I say it, and then the little birdies come to me. Or you watch, like the guy last week said, he'd been watching me for 3 years. Another girl messaged me today. She's been watching me for 2 years. And finally, they'll sort of like dip their toes in, and then they see, like, you'll see these testimonials that I post. Well, those are real. So you can come inside and meet the real people.
Mm-hmm.
Something else. So we are not Social Security age yet, but my brother is. And then since my mother's husband passed a year ago, I've really been observing all this stuff she has to do, because none of this is on my radar. None of this state structure nonsense is on my radar. I have never had a thought process of, oh, someday the government is going to take care of me. Never.
Never.
I'm like, I got to work, I got to work, I got to work, I got to work, I got to save, I got to invest. I am solo, okay? And so there's something that came across me this week about my mother was talking about the Social Security. And so since her husband died and his chest was this much bigger than hers, they move her over to his amount.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people know this, because they're not
They do that.
think about, your spouse
Mm-hmm.
dying, but think about what it is. She paid, he paid. Where's the money?
She should get both.
Show me the money.
Mm-hmm.
I'll at least give her both till she dies. I don't know what happened with my father. My mother was, She was 58 when my dad died, and then she married this guy at 62. And so Social Security stops the smaller of the two checks. The survivor keeps only the higher one. And this catches couples by surprise because both people paid into the system. And the survivor benefit is tied when the higher earner claimed benefits, not just their full retirement age. So it depends on when you claim. And if you claim early, early, you're going to get less. It's all just financial foppery. So
Mm-hmm.
I just employ, make your own money, be in charge of your own money, pay attention to your own money. You cannot pass this off to other people.
And who the hell can live off of $2,500 a month anyways? I mean, that's
I
poverty
will not
level.
take it. I will not bother. And I've only paid 20,000 into the system. So of course I'd be at the lowest thing, which I don't care. I don't care. I'm never going to fill out those forms. And it makes no sense to me. Well, you pay for Medicare all week in your paycheck or all your life, but then you have to pay for it against your
Mm-hmm.
Social Security check. And so even though my new friend, Julio Gonzalez, was part of
Yeah.
this, no tax on Social Security and no tax on tips, which also was my friend Wayne Root, which I learned watching, I was Googling Julio Gonzalez to see what his policies were. And he was on my friend Wayne's Root show. And Wayne's like, oh, we talk 20 times a day. And Wayne's terrified. He won't have me. I said, Gianna, I'll lose all my sponsors if I talk about not paying the IRS. But let's recap here because we're on 31 minutes here. All the things, all the financial foppery that's going on, capital gains, income, property sales. The government takes a cut of your home sale profit, even though they took zero risk. Patty used to own buildings. Tell us what
Mm-hmm.
you told today on the phone about when you owned buildings and you had
Well,
children.
so I owned 2 apartment buildings. One building had 5 units, the other building had 5 or 6 units plus a house. I used all those tax loopholes. I did everything I was supposed to do. When I sold the buildings, when my kids grew up and I had no longer any exemptions. Well, where are you then? You're paying taxes. So, not that I don't agree with Julio because I do, but what about us? What
Yeah.
about us? There is nothing there for, the average American that's making 200, $300,000 a year that has no write-offs. Very
Right.
little. Well, I mean, part of Trump's thing was like if you buy a new car and it's made in America, well, you can write off that interest. Then you can write off the interest to your house. Well, what if you don't, hopefully by that time that you retire, hopefully that you don't have a house payment. Right? So then what write-offs? And as opposed to the no tax on Social Security, what is that, Gianna? That is
Up
a
up
tax
to
deduction.
$6,000. Up to,
Yes.
but that's only if you have no other income. Like my mother has other income.
Yes. It's a
So
it's a
it's
deduction.
meaningless to her. It's meaningless. But also, what about the 14th Amendment? All are equal under the law.
Right?
Why is Susie, who works at, I was in the Louis Vuitton store today, if she's getting commissions and a salary, but she's not getting the same tax deductions as the girl who works in the steakhouse?
Mhm.
Why? Why? And so for me, I have never engaged in a 1040 or deduction in all my life.
No, you were the smart one for sure.
And people think this is crazy and I'm going to jail. It's been 27 years. I did have W-4s. I filled up W-4s and got the W-2 when I had like bartender waitress jobs where I wouldn't even fill out that form. What am I going to get back? Like 20 or 30 or $40? I didn't care. I made lots more money than then. I've never engaged in it. And then I've been self-employed since 2002, 2001. I've
Mhm.
never engaged in a 1040 in my entire life. And Patty has regular job and she's been tax-free 4 years now.
Mhm.
You and your husband quit filing. We
Yep.
have, oh, look at this. Look what Daisy wrote. I tell everyone I no longer volunteer to pay tax.
Texas.
One of our superstars. If you've ever seen some of our testimonials, she's the gal. Can I say this, Daisy, that puts the FU stamp on? We've got a nice red stamp. Do you have one, Patty?
I do.
Yeah, I'm not at home, right? Yeah, we put the stamp when she puts it on her IRS presentments.
Yeah.
It's been going on for 2 years. And I'd like to talk on tomorrow on Tax Free Tuesday about the letters, because the letters are what scare people. Oh my God, I'm going to
Mhm.
go to jail. And they don't actually look at She's laughing.
Oh, wink, 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 right?
Right, right. People just don't understand what it is. They
Yeah.
make assumptions and presumptions based on never researching this and not knowing what we talk about. So we're going to get into that tomorrow. And thank you for attending Money Monday. We would like to show you how to keep all your hard-earned income just by audaciously exercising your rights. That silver piece that Patty owns, that is part of her personal private property that's protected under the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah, look, here's a 2-ouncer.
Right, you're so cute.
Yeah.
You're all over me. It's protected
Yeah.
under the Fourth Amendment. So I would like to teach you about your rights. And let me see here. Here we go. This is how you do it. There's a 3-day free trial, irsexit.com.
Come and join. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Check it out. Come check it. It's a 3-day free trial. Do we have one more comment? Oh, here's somebody here. I got an IRS letter last week. Right. Yeah. Well, you know what to do with it. We handle. I showed, but last tax feature. I have a clip coming up that I'll be circulating this week that shows what goes on inside the IRS class. That was on last week's class, which we'll revisit again. All right, Patty. It was a pleasure to speak to you, and thank you for the people who come with us. Please help us grow this show. Subscribe wherever you're watching and share it. And let's tell the whole world. Thank you.
Bye.